Drone on dude. So it's an early start this morning. It's 5:45 and I'm just picking Chris up and we're off down to Skinningrove on a much needed fossil hunt. So watch this space and see what we come up with. Catch you later. Hey, so we've just rocked up at Skinningrove. 7:15 it is, so we made good time. We're 3 hours before low tide, so our timing's spot on. Interesting little place, Skinningrove. Land of iron, as it's known. I think the iron or the steel or whatever they made here many moons ago was used in the likes of the Tyne Bridge and even I think Sydney Harbour Bridge. Behind me up on the headland I believe there was a blast furnace, so yeah, it's been quite an important player in iron and steel production over the years. You'll see when we get out there that there are ironstone nodules, lovely little rounded, almost man-made, like little cannonballs. They were originally found, I believe, in a farmer's field by a local landowner who wasn't sure what they were, and when they realised, they started exploiting them. They then started mining them, so if you ever visit Skinningrove, you can actually go down one of the remaining drifts that they've actually put back into use for visitors. So interesting little place to visit. Catch you later. So this is Skinningrove. We're heading off over there where the cliffs start to climb up, and if I just pan round, heading in that direction takes you back towards sort of Saltburn area. It's quite a popular spot with camper vans. Interesting. If you want something else to watch on YouTube, if you type in Skinningrove, Britain's hardest towns, and you'll see a real interesting insight on this place. So I'll just point this out. This is the Lower Lias, I believe. So if I look at the kind of banding in the cliffs there, we've got ironstone, I believe, above, and this grey coloured shale is Lower Lias, and within that you can see those nodules. So much older rock than we would normally find further down the coast. So have a look there, you can see there's definitely plenty of evidence of fossils around here. A lot of bivalves, that sort of thing. I think then we move on to belemnites, and then a little bit round, I think a couple of bays round, we're into, I think some of the possibly the Upper Lias starts to introduce itself. So I know we've definitely found plenty of ammonites, Dactylioceras around there. So yeah, let's just see what today brings. So there's plenty of fossils to see here, from belemnites to bivalves, but where we're heading is around, not the next bay, but around that headland you can see in the distance. And around that point, I believe, is where we were last time we came down, where we started finding ammonites. Look at that rugged beauty. So the thing is with this fossil hunting, it's not so much about what you do find, it's about what you might find, and about being out here in this beautiful area. So sometimes you're pleasantly surprised, other times you go back having walked for about 5 hours and you have very little to show for it, but there's never a time where you would say, oh, I wish I hadn't gone. It's just such a fantastic experience. So just having a little poke around with my jet stick, and there's a poor little unfortunate, I think it's a weaver fish, maybe, I'm not 100% sure, but I think he lives in a pretty harsh environment in this kind of wave crash shore. So yeah, unfortunate he hasn't lasted. Okay, so we're just around the first point, and in the distance there up on the top, that's Hummersea Nature Reserve, Hummersea Point. So this is where we start to find slightly different fossil material. Where we are heading though is around that next one. So yeah, just it's a nice walk. The tide's out, so we can walk on bedrock rather than walking through the boulder field, which is a bit of a nightmare. But yeah, let's see what the day brings us. So I just came across this sort of partially worn nodule. I thought actually it was a shell, but I've just given it a tap and it isn't. It's a lovely little ammonite. Not entirely sure what variety it is because I'm still learning, but it's certainly not a DAC, which makes me happy. Okay, so we're in the area of the old Alum mine, which is just down there. We'll come across that shortly. But if you look up here, that stuff there embedded in the rock, I believe, is part of the process of the alum works. They would roast the alum. So they mine the alum shale, they would roast it on the beach for up to maybe a year before treating it with urine and creating the liquor that would yield the alum crystals. So yeah, interesting to see when you know what it is. So this is the remains of, I believe, one of the alum mines or alum kilns possibly. Again, quite nice to see, even though there's not much left of it. These steps here, so I believe that was originally access down onto the beach and then the steps washed away, but the set of step ladders, I think that is the fishermen. So there's a lot of good fishing in this area. So when you look out, there's the kind of the harbours, I guess, or where the boats would come in to take the alum away and bring coal, etc., and urine. Those little deep channels, I believe, are where a lot of the fishermen come and get some good results. Present his little jet hook that I made, and he's found a nice piece of jet. Oop. Now if you scrape the jet along a hard stone, you should get what looks like a gingerbread sort of colour, so that pretty much confirms that it's a piece of jet. So well done. So I'm just picking through this boulder field here, but just thought I'd point out the extent that the fishermen will go to get to these spots, and I don't think you can make them out, but going right the way up, right the way up there, ladder after ladder, right the way down to a rope. Crazy. So these are the little cannonballs I was talking about. That's a perfectly spherical piece of ironstone, and yeah, these are the kind of origins of the iron in this area. Before they started sinking mines, these were occurring in, let's say, farmers' fields, but they're very heavy. So it looks almost man-made, but natural. So just to put things into perspective, okay, that big block of shale was up there, and that's how it happens. So yeah, you wouldn't get much warning, it'll literally just slip, bang, down. So we're heading back, quite happy. We didn't find a lot, but what we did find was a lovely segment of a lower lias ammonite. Again, not sure on what variety it is, but we'll find out. So yeah, just making our way back, because although it's still a few hours away from high tide, there are a couple of nasty cut-off points here at Skinningrove, so we need to make it around that headland in the distance, and then we're kind of in sight of where we need to be. It's been a good one.